Detective Anna Morgan solved the artist's murder case in one day. The husband is guilty. But the neighbor witness's diary reads like a literary work, not a document. What if the real killer isn't the one who strangled, but the one who wrote the perfect version of the crime? The war with the liar has begun. Detective Anna Morgan stood in the doorway of the apartment, watching the chaos of someone else's life frozen in a single moment. Morning light filtered through heavy curtains, illuminating the tiny entryway where walls were covered with paintings. Canvases were stacked against one another, abstract works beside realism, bright strokes of orange and blue clashing with muted sepia tones. The smell of oil paint mixed with something more metallic. Anna recognized that smell. Helen Carter's body lay in the living room. The senior lieutenant stepped over the threshold, automatically pulling on shoe covers. Her movements were honed by years of work. No rush, no unnecessary noise. Forensic experts moved between rooms, documenting every detail. Camera flashes cut through the space in white pulses. Anna ignored them, focusing on what her eyes could see. The living room resembled an artist's studio. An easel stood by the window with an unfinished still life of a pomegranate. Brushes jutted from a jar of cloudy water. Paint-soaked rags lay scattered on the windowsill. Canvases leaned against the walls, creating the sensation that the apartment was shrinking under their pressure. Anna slowly walked the perimeter, cataloging details. Helen lay between the couch and coffee table. Long red hair fanned across the hardwood floor. Blue eyes stared at the ceiling, but saw nothing anymore. The body rested on its back, right arm extended to the side, left arm pressed against the chest. Dark marks were visible on the neck. Strangulation. Anna crouched down without touching anything, studying the scene. The victim's face was pale, almost waxy. Lips slightly parted. No signs of struggle, nails intact, no scratches or abrasions on the hands. Clothing undamaged. The artist wore a loose linen shirt splattered with paint and soft lounge pants. Bare feet. Anna traced the body's position with her gaze. It looked as though someone had carefully lowered it to the floor rather than thrown it down. "Time of death?" she asked, without taking her eyes off Helen. The medical examiner, a lean man in his 50s with a tired face, looked up from his tablet. "Preliminary estimate between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. Final determination after autopsy." Anna nodded. Her fingers unconsciously touched the scar above her left eyebrow. She ran her fingertip along it when her mind began constructing chains of logic. 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. 4 hours. The husband claimed he'd been at a bar until midnight. Witnesses confirmed his alibi. That narrowed the window of opportunity. Any signs of forced entry? None. Door was locked with the deadbolt, but not the chain. Windows intact, balcony door locked from inside. Who found her? The husband, Stephen Carter. Got home around 1 a.m., found his wife, called paramedics, then us. Anna rose, brushing off her knees. She slowly circled the room, studying details. 2 cups sat on the coffee table. One held tea remnants. The other was empty, but showed a pale ring at the bottom. Beside them lay an open book, pages facing down. Anna leaned closer, reading the spine, a collection of essays on contemporary art. Her gaze caught on something else. At the edge of the table, nearly at the corner, lay a small scrap of paper. She pulled tweezers from her pocket and carefully lifted it. The fragment was jagged, as if someone had torn it hastily. 2 letters were visible, written in ink. He. Nothing more. "Bag it," she told the forensic tech, passing the find along. Anna returned to the body. Something didn't add up. The marks on the neck were deep and uniform. The killer had acted methodically, without panic. But Helen's face bore no traces of terror or agony. It was almost peaceful, as if death had caught her off guard but hadn't triggered fear.
"Where's the husband?"
Downstairs in the car. Captain Reynolds ordered him held. Anna headed for the exit. She needed to see Stephen Carter while his emotions were still fresh, not worn down by time and interrogation. She descended the narrow stairwell of the 5-story building, past a cluster of curious neighbors gathered at the entrance, and approached the department vehicle. Stephen sat in the back seat, a large, stocky man with heavy features. His hands, working hands, with dirt ground into the skin under his nails and old scars on his knuckles, gripped his knees. He stared straight ahead without blinking. When Anna opened the door and sat beside him, he didn't flinch. "Mr. Carter, I'm Senior Lieutenant Morgan. I need to ask you some questions." He turned his head. His eyes were red and bloodshot, but dry. He hadn't been crying. Anna noted this. "Go ahead." His voice was hoarse, as if scraped through sandpaper. "Tell me what happened last night." Stephen swallowed. His Adam's apple jerked. "I was at a bar on Madison Street with guys from work. We were celebrating finishing a job. Got there around 8 in the evening. Stayed until midnight, maybe a bit later. The bartender can confirm it. There are cameras." "Did you argue with your wife before you left?" A pause. Stephen looked away. "Yeah, we fought. Again about money. Helen wanted to rent a studio, a separate space for work. Said she couldn't concentrate at home. But we don't have extra cash. I told her..." He broke off, clenched his jaw. "Told her she should get a real job instead of smearing paint on canvases. She got upset. I slammed the door and left." Anna wrote in her notebook. Her handwriting was small and precise. "When you came home, what did you see?" "The door was locked. I opened it with my key. The hallway light was off, but the living room was on. I went in and saw her. She was lying on the floor. I rushed to her, tried to wake her." His voice trembled. "But she was cold. I called the ambulance. They said they'd come. Then I called the police." "Did you see anyone? In the building, on the stairs?" "No, nobody." "Who else had keys to the apartment?" "Just Helen and me. And," he hesitated, "her friend, Anna. But they hadn't been in touch for a while. Helen gave her a spare key a year ago when we went on vacation. Anna watered the plants." Anna looked up from her notebook. "Why did they stop talking?" "Don't know exactly. Helen didn't like discussing it. I think they fought over some gallery show. Anna works as an editor-in-chief at a publishing house. Helen wanted her to help with publishing reproductions of her work. Anna refused. They hadn't seen each other since." Anna made a note. Publishing house. Anna. Key. "Did your wife meet with anyone yesterday evening?" Stephen frowned. "She didn't say, but..." He paused again, choosing words. "The past few weeks she'd been different, distant. Said she'd met someone who understood her art. I didn't think much of it. Helen often said that when she found a new acquaintance." "A name?" She didn't mention one. Anna closed her notebook and looked Stephen in the eyes. He didn't look away. His face showed dull pain mixed with anger. Classic grieving spouse reaction. But that proved nothing. People knew how to pretend. "Thank you, Mr. Carter. We'll talk again." She exited the car and climbed back to the apartment. Captain Reynolds was already there. The bulky figure of the investigative division chief filled the tiny entryway. He massaged the bridge of his nose, his gray eyes regarding Anna with weary irritation. "Morgan, what have you got?" "Too early, Captain, but the picture isn't coming together." Reynolds sighed. "We've got the husband. Shaky alibi, bars full of people who'll remember when he left. Fight before death. Motive, jealousy, or money. Textbook case." "Too textbook," Anna objected. "Look at the crime scene. No signs of struggle. The victim didn't fight back. Either she trusted the killer or was caught completely off guard. 2 cups on the table. She was entertaining someone. Maybe the husband came back early. Had tea. Fought again. He snapped." Anna shook her head. "No, this wasn't an impulsive murder. Look at the marks. They're uniform. The killer acted with cold precision, and the body was positioned carefully. This doesn't look like a crime of passion." Reynolds rubbed his face with both palms. "Morgan, we've got 24 hours to either charge the husband or let him go. Don't overcomplicate this. Gather evidence, interview witnesses. Everything needs to be clean." Anna stayed silent. She returned to the living room and circled the space again. Her gaze swept over details, trying to catch what logic couldn't grasp. Paintings on walls, easel, brushes, 2 cups, scrap of paper. The forensic tech approached, holding out a tablet. "Photos are ready. Want to see?" Anna took the tablet and scrolled through images. The body from different angles, close-ups of neck marks, victim's hands, feet, face. She stopped on one image, Helen's right hand extended to the side. The fingers were slightly curved, as if the woman had tried to grab something before death. Anna zoomed in. A small ink stain was visible on the index finger near the nail bed. Fresh. She looked up at the coffee table. Book, scrap of paper. Had Helen been writing something? Or where are her personal belongings? Phone, purse? "In the bedroom. I'll get them." Anna walked into the bedroom. The room was small, with a double bed and wardrobe. On the nightstand lay a smartphone in a worn case. Anna pulled on gloves and picked it up. The screen was locked. She pressed the button. The device demanded a fingerprint. "Unlock it through forensics," she ordered. "I need calls, messages, everything." She returned to the living room. Something pulled her back to the table. Anna crouched and examined the cups again. One with tea remnants. She brought it to her nose and sniffed. Light floral aroma, jasmine. The second cup was nearly empty. Anna peered inside. At the bottom, a thin layer of sediment, dark, almost black. "Send both cups for analysis. I want to know what was in them." The forensic tech nodded, carefully packaging the finds. Anna straightened and surveyed the room. The apartment breathed Helen's creative chaos, but within that chaos lurked something foreign. She couldn't explain what exactly. It was a feeling, light as perfume, lingering in the air after a guest's departure. Her phone buzzed. Message from dispatch. "Neighbor from across the hall wants to give a statement." Anna stepped onto the landing. The door opposite stood ajar. She knocked. "Come in," came a quiet, measured voice. Anna crossed the threshold and froze. The apartment was the complete opposite of the Carters' home. Perfect order bordering on sterility. Bookshelves from floor to ceiling, arranged in some system comprehensible only to the owner. The smell of old paper and dust. Weak light from a window facing the courtyard well. By the window, in an armchair, sat a man. Thin, with gray hair combed to the side. He slowly removed his glasses and wiped them with a handkerchief before looking at Anna. Arthur Walsh. "Please, have a seat." Anna remained standing. "You wanted to give a statement?" "Yes." His voice was quiet, deliberate, each word seemingly weighed. "I heard an argument last night, between the Carters, around 8 o'clock. Stephen was shouting, Helen was crying. Then a door slammed, and he left." "Did you hear what the argument was about?" Arthur put his glasses back on. His pale blue eyes looked at Anna motionlessly. Money. Her art. He called it a waste of time. She said he didn't understand her. Banal marital drama. Anna pulled out her notebook. "Did you hear anything else? Later?" "Yes, around 10 p.m. someone came to see her. I heard knocking at the door, then voices. 2 voices, Helen's and a man's. They spoke quietly. I couldn't make out words. About an hour later, the guest left." "Did you see this person?" "No, I didn't leave my apartment. But I heard footsteps on the stairs. Light, measured, not heavy like Stephen's." Anna looked up from her notebook. Arthur sat motionless, his face expressing calm attention. Too calm. A murder had occurred next door, yet he appeared more intrigued than shocked. "Do you often hear what happens with the neighbor?" A slight smile, more like a grimace, touched his lips. "The walls in these buildings are thin. One becomes a witness to other people's lives, whether one wants to or not." "Did you know Helen Carter personally?" "We said hello on the stairs, sometimes chatted about trivial matters. She mentioned being passionate about painting. I'm interested in art, so we had common ground." "When did you last see her?" Arthur removed his glasses and wiped them again. The pause stretched. 2 days ago. Morning. She was leaving the apartment with a canvas under her arm. Said she was going to meet with a potential patron. She seemed excited. Did she mention this patron's name? No. Anna wrote it down and put away her notebook. "Thank you for the information, Mr. Walsh. If you remember anything else, please contact." She headed for the door, but his voice stopped her. "Lieutenant, may I offer some advice?" Anna turned. "I'm listening." "Don't look for overly complicated explanations. Sometimes the truth is on the surface. A jealous husband, exhausted by constant reproaches, an impulsive decision. A tragedy, but entirely explainable." Anna looked into his eyes. Watery, cold, studying. An unpleasant sensation slid down her spine. She said nothing and left. Back on the street, Anna stopped beside her car and pulled out her notebook. She reread her notes. Argument. Husband left at 8. Alibi until midnight. Guest arrived at 10, left at 11. Helen died between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. A window of 1 to 2 hours. Who was that guest? She looked up at Walsh's apartment windows. He stood there behind the glass, a motionless silhouette, watching. Anna turned her gaze away and walked to the department vehicle. She needed to get back to the station, start working the evidence. But the feeling that something was slipping away from her wouldn't leave. This case was like a puzzle where all the pieces lay in plain sight, but the picture refused to come together. She got behind the wheel and pulled away. In the rearview mirror, Walsh's window flashed by. He was still standing there, watching her leave. Anna turned off the light in her office and locked the door. 2:30 in the morning. The investigative division had emptied an hour ago, only the security guard in the lobby nodding off over the sign-in log. She pulled a folder marked Carter H. closed from her drawer and spread its contents across the desk. Arthur Walsh's journal lay in the center, neatly packaged in a clear evidence sleeve. Beside it, interrogation transcripts, crime scene photographs, the examiner's report. Officially, the case was solved. Stephen Carter charged with murdering his wife. Trial in 3 weeks. Reynolds was satisfied. The statistics looked good. Anna switched on the desk lamp. A circle of light carved her workspace from the darkness. She opened her notebook to a clean page and began listing facts. Left column, what Arthur claimed in his journal. Right column, what was confirmed by independent sources. Entry from October 15th. Stephen threatened Helen with a knife during an argument in the kitchen. Anna scanned through neighbor statements. Nobody heard anything. The walls were thin, Arthur himself had said so, which meant either there was no argument or it happened quietly. A knife threat. That's a loud event. Anna added a question mark. Entry from November 3rd. Helen confessed to me that she's afraid to sleep alone in the apartment after her husband broke her easel. Anna picked up the photograph of the living room. The easel stood intact by the window. New? Or had no one ever broken it? She ran her finger along the scar above her eyebrow. Something was wrong. The journal read like a finished work, events arranged in a perfect line leading to inevitable conclusion. Too perfect. Anna turned the page. Entry from November 12th, a week before the murder. Their words fell into the room's silence like drops of poison in a glass of wine. She froze, read the sentence again, then once more. This wasn't a document. This was literature. A chill ran down her spine. People don't write about a neighbor's quarrel like it's a Shakespearean tragedy, unless they're perceiving it as a play. Anna slammed the notebook shut and leaned back in her chair. Arthur Walsh wasn't a witness. He was an author. And his novel had sent an innocent man behind bars. She picked up her phone and checked the time. 3 in the morning. Too late for calls, too early for official statements. Anna put the documents back in the folder, locked it in the safe, and left her office. She needed to go home. She needed to think. But sleep wouldn't come. She lay in the darkness of her empty apartment, staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow she would have to go to Reynolds and tell him the truth. That their key witness was a manipulator. That the case needed to be reopened. That they'd made a mistake. Morning began with disaster. Reynolds summoned her to his office right after the briefing. The door closed behind her with a dull thud. The captain sat at his desk, massaging the bridge of his nose. On the desk lay an open folder, the same one Anna had studied during the night. Morgan, explain. His voice was quiet, but exhaustion, bordering on contempt, ran through it. Captain, You took a closed case from the archives, without permission, at night. He raised his eyes. Why? Anna straightened. I found inconsistencies in Walsh's journal. Some events aren't confirmed by independent sources. I believe we need to conduct an additional investigation. Reynolds slammed the folder shut. The case is closed. The prosecutor's office approved the indictment. Trial in 3 weeks. We have motive, evidence, a witness. Everything's clean. Too clean, Anna objected. Look at the language of the journal. These aren't eyewitness notes. This is creative writing. Reynolds rose from his desk, his face flushed red. Morgan, do you understand what you're saying? You're accusing a citizen of perjury based on what? Writing style? Have you decided to become a literary critic? I'm a detective, and I see manipulation. You're seeing what isn't there. Reynolds raised his voice for the first time in all their years working together. You have a complex. You can't accept simple truth. Husband killed wife. Textbook. You need elaborate theories, conspiracies, intrigue. But reality is simpler, Morgan. And you know it." Anna stayed silent. Her fingers gripped the edges of her notebook. "If you don't stop this circus," Reynolds continued, lowering his voice to a dangerous whisper, "I'll personally make sure you never work in law enforcement again. Understood?" "Understood." "You're dismissed." Anna left the office. The investigative division corridor greeted her with silence. Colleagues standing by the water cooler turned away. Someone coughed. Someone pretended to be absorbed in their phone. She walked past without looking around and returned to her desk. The isolation began immediately. She wasn't invited to lunch. People avoided her in the break room. When she asked questions about current cases, they answered in monosyllables, avoiding eye contact. By the end of the week, Anna Morgan had become a ghost, physically present, but socially invisible. She worked alone, at night when the division emptied. She pulled old protocols, rechecked statements, searched for leads, and found one. A waiter from the restaurant on Madison Street where Stephen had gone the night of the murder. A guy about 25, nervous, with a twitching eye. Anna met him by the subway station, away from cameras and witnesses. "I already gave a statement," he said, hunching into his jacket against the cold wind. "You did, but I want to clarify one detail." Anna pulled out her notebook. "Stephen Carter, large man, working hands. You remember him?" "Yeah, he was with a group. They were loud, drinking. What time did they leave?" "Around midnight. That's what I wrote down." Anna looked into his eyes. "But him personally? Carter, did he leave with everyone?" A pause. The waiter looked away. "Look, I don't want trouble. There won't be any trouble. Just tell the truth." The guy swallowed. "He left earlier. Around 10. Got in an argument with someone on the phone and slammed out the door. I remember because they hadn't paid yet and I was afraid I'd lose my tip." Anna wrote it down. "Why didn't you mention this during your interrogation?" "I did. But that detective, can't remember the name, said I was mixing up the times, that it must have been later. I didn't argue." Anna closed her notebook. She had a weapon. Arthur Walsh's apartment greeted her with the smell of old paper and dust. He opened the door himself, wearing his unchanging gray cardigan. He removed his glasses, wiped them with a handkerchief, his gaze cold, appraising. "Lieutenant Morgan. What a surprise." Anna walked into the living room without waiting for an invitation. Bookshelves from floor to ceiling, armchair by the window, writing desk with a green lamp, everything perfectly ordered. A museum of self-importance. "Mr. Walsh, I need to ask you some questions." "About what?" She turned to face him. "About your journal. You claim you recorded events as they happened, correct?" "Absolutely." "On November 13th, you wrote that Stephen Carter came home around midnight. How did you establish that?" Arthur sat in the armchair, crossing his fingers. "I heard the door slam. Looked at my watch. It was 10 minutes to 12. Interesting." Anna pulled out her notebook. "Because the waiter from the restaurant where Stephen was that night says he left at 10 p.m., 2 hours earlier." A pause. Arthur tilted his head as if studying her. "The waiter is mistaken. Or you are." A slight smile touched his lips. Not a smile, a grimace. "Lieutenant, did you come here to accuse me of imprecise timekeeping? Human memory is imperfect. Perhaps I was off by an hour or two. Does that change the essence of events?" Anna stepped closer. "It does. Because if Stephen left at 10 and returned at 10 to 12, that's 2 hours. Enough time to come home, fight with his wife, and kill her. But if he came back at 10, as the waiter claims, the timeline collapses. Helen died between 11 and 1. Stephen was home. He had no reason to run back to the restaurant. Arthur stood, the movement sharp, almost aggressive. "Are you saying I'm lying?" "I'm saying your journal isn't a document. It's a literary work. You're describing events not as they were, but as they should have been, according to your script." His face contorted. For the first time in all their interactions, Anna saw emotion. Rage barely contained. "You don't understand. You don't understand at all." His voice was quiet, but each word cut. "I don't fabricate. I observe. I see drama where you see only chaos. You're a cop. You look for facts. But I'm an author. I look for meaning." "Meaning?" Anna stepped toward him. "You turned someone's life into a plot, and that plot sent a man to prison. A guilty man." "Are you certain of that? Or did you just need the right ending?" They stood inches apart. Arthur looked down at her, his pale blue eyes burning with cold fire. "Get out of my apartment." Anna didn't move. "I'll prove you're a liar. I'll find the drafts, find the sources, prove you wrote from imagination, not observation." Arthur smirked, a dry sound like a cough. "Good luck, Lieutenant. You're looking in the wrong place." He watched her to the door with his gaze. Anna stepped onto the landing, feeling her heart pounding in her chest. This was war, and it had only just begun. Meridian Press was housed in an old brownstone on Fifth Avenue. Anna arrived by noon, showing her badge to the receptionist. She was directed to the archives, a cramped room in the basement where shelves of files disappeared into half-darkness. The archive clerk, an elderly woman with glasses on a chain, looked at Anna with distrust. "Walsh's personnel file? Why do you need it?" "Official investigation." The woman shrugged and disappeared between the shelves, returned 10 minutes later with a thin folder. "Here. Read it here only. Can't take it out." Anna opened the file. A photograph. Arthur Walsh, 20 years younger. Same gaze, same glasses. Resume, letters of recommendation, promotion orders. Brilliant career. And then, termination order. Anna read the wording twice. Systematic introduction of distortions into author's texts, dictated by delusions of grandeur, combativeness, professional unsuitability. She photographed the page with her phone. This was confirmation. Arthur didn't just write, he rewrote. Rewrote other people's texts, other people's lives. He was obsessed with the idea of improving reality, making it more dramatic. Anna returned the folder to the clerk and left the archives. She needed to talk to people who'd worked with Arthur, learn the details, understand the scale of his obsession. But the door to the past slammed shut. 3 of Arthur's former colleagues, whose contacts she found through social media, refused to talk. One simply hung up. The second said, "I don't want to remember anything about that man." The third was more frank. "Stay away from him. He destroys everything he touches." Anna sat in her car outside the publishing house, staring at her phone. Dead end. Nobody wanted to talk. Arthur had left scorched earth behind him, where even witnesses feared speaking his name. That evening, when Anna was about to drive home, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. "Hello? Are you Detective Morgan?" A woman's voice, distorted by a modulator. "Yes? Who is this?" "Doesn't matter. I worked with Arthur Walsh. You're on the right track, but you're looking in the wrong place." Anna straightened. Where did you work? What's your name? Won't say. He's dangerous. Not the way you think. He's not just a liar. He genuinely believes he can rewrite reality. And he does it. I watched him destroy 3 authors' careers simply because their texts didn't conform to dramatic structure. I need proof. Manuscripts, drafts. There aren't any. He burned everything after being fired. But there's something else. The woman's voice trembled. Stop looking for what he invented. Look for what he improved. He doesn't create lies from scratch. He takes a small fact and turns it into drama. Do you understand? Anna froze. I understand. Then act fast. Trial in 3 weeks. The call ended. Anna lowered the phone. Her hands were shaking. This was the key. Arthur didn't invent. He edited. Took real events, arguments, conflicts, tears, and turned them into a murderous script. She opened her notebook and began writing a new plan. She needed to reconstruct the real chronology of Helen and Stephen's last months. Interview friends, neighbors, colleagues. Find those seams where truth transitioned into fiction. Anna started the car and pulled away. The war continued. And now she had a new strategy. Anna stood before the Meridian Press building, clutching Anna Rivera's phone number in her hand. The morning was cold, the sky covered with gray clouds threatening snow. She climbed the steps and pushed through the heavy glass door. The receptionist, a young woman with painted lips and flawless hair, looked up from her computer. How can I help you? Lieutenant Morgan, I need to meet with Anna Rivera. The receptionist frowned. Do you have an appointment? No, but this is an official investigation. A pause. The receptionist picked up the phone, dialed an internal number, spoke quietly with someone, set down the receiver. Ms. Rivera is busy right now. She can give you 10 minutes at 3 p.m. Anna checked her watch. 11 in the morning. 4 hours of waiting. She suppressed her irritation and nodded. Fine, I'll be back. She walked out to the street and got in her car. 4 hours. Time that could be used. Anna pulled out her notebook and flipped through pages. Anna Rivera, editor-in-chief, Helen's former friend, keeper of the spare apartment key, refused to help Helen with publication. They hadn't spoken since. Anna ran her finger along the scar above her eyebrow. Something about this story was wrong. Why had Anna refused? Helen was a talented artist, judging by the work in the apartment. Why would a publisher reject her? She picked up her phone and called the forensic tech. Peterson, this is Morgan. I need information. Meridian Press. What books they publish, who works there, financial situation, everything you can find. Morgan, you're... The tech's voice was cautious. You've been warned off the case. I haven't been suspended. I've been warned. There's a difference. He sighed. Fine, I'll send it in an hour. Anna set down the phone and leaned back in her seat. She was playing a dangerous game. Reynolds had made it clear. One more step and she was out. But she couldn't stop. Not when an innocent man sat in a cell while a killer walked free. An hour later, an email arrived from Peterson. Anna opened the attachments. Financial reports from the publishing house, employee roster, publication history. She scanned through the documents. Meridian Press specialized in literary fiction, classics, contemporary prose, rare translations. Financial position stable, but not brilliant. Anna Rivera had been editor-in-chief for the past 15 years. Before her, Anna froze. Before her, the editor-in-chief had been Victor Walsh, Arthur's brother. She reread the line twice. Victor Walsh died 10 years ago of a heart attack. Arthur had worked under him as senior editor, After Victor's death, Anna took the position, and Arthur was fired 6 months later. Anna closed the laptop. Connection. Anna, Arthur, and the publishing house. 3 points on one line. She started the car and drove back to the publishing building. At 3 o'clock sharp, the receptionist escorted her to the 4th floor. The editor-in-chief's office was tastefully decorated. Dark furniture, bookshelves, a large window overlooking downtown. Behind the desk sat Anna Rivera. Anna recognized her from the file photo. A woman around 48, elegant haircut, expensive suit, composed posture. But when Anna looked up, Anna caught something else, tension hidden behind a professional mask. "Lieutenant Morgan, please, sit." Her voice was even, well-trained. Anna sat across from her. "Thank you for making time. I'm investigating the murder of Helen Carter. You were her friend." Anna folded her hands on the desk. "Were. Long ago. We haven't spoken in a year." "Why?" A pause. Anna looked away toward the window. "We fought. Helen asked me to help publish a portfolio of reproductions. I refused. She was hurt." "Why did you refuse?" "The publishing house doesn't specialize in art books. That's not our focus." Anna pulled out her notebook. "But you have published art books. I checked. 3 in the last 5 years." Anna pressed her lips together. "Those projects were commercially viable. Helen's project wasn't. Or was the reason something else?" Anna leaned forward. "You worked with Arthur Walsh. He was also an editor at Meridian, correct?" Anna's face turned to stone. "Worked. Long ago. He's no longer with the company." "But you remember him?" Anna looked into her eyes. "You remember why he was fired?" The silence stretched. Anna raised her hand and ran her fingers along her temple, a gesture of exhaustion. Arthur was a talented editor, but he crossed the line. He didn't edit texts, he rewrote them. Authors complained. Scandals multiplied. I had to fire him. "You? Not a committee, not the board of directors, you?" Anna met her gaze. "Yes, me. I made that decision." Anna wrote it down. "How did he react?" "Badly. He threatened me, said I was making a mistake, that I was destroying his life. But I had no choice." "Did you see him after the firing?" "No, never." Anna looked up from her notebook. "He lives across the hall from where Helen was murdered. Your former friend. Coincidence?" Anna went pale. "I don't understand what you mean." "I think you do." Anna leaned closer. "Arthur Walsh is testifying against Stephen Carter. His journal is the key evidence for the prosecution. But I believe he's lying, that he fabricated the story, and I want to understand why. Can you help me?" Anna rose from the desk, the movement sharp, almost panicked. "I can't help you. I'm sorry, but my time is up." Anna remained seated. "Ms. Rivera, if you're hiding something, it will surface. Better tell me now." Anna stood by the window, her back to Anna, shoulders tense. "Leave, please." Anna stood and walked to the door. At the threshold, she turned. "If you change your mind, call." She placed her business card on the edge of the desk and left. The following days were a string of dead ends. Anna interviewed the Carters' neighbors, but no one could confirm or refute Arthur's testimony. The walls really were thin, but the couple's arguments were perceived as background noise. Nobody paid them attention. She met with Helen's friends, 2 artists from her studio. They confirmed. Helen was emotional, prone to dramatization. Yes, she fought with her husband. Yes, she dreamed of recognition. But murder? No, Stephen wasn't capable of that. He's rough, said one friend, a petite blonde with a wrist tattoo, but not cruel. He loved Helen. He just didn't understand her. Anna took notes, but knew this wasn't enough. She needed hard evidence, not subjective impressions. She returned to the station late in the evening. The office was empty, only the light in her room burning. She opened the safe and took out Arthur's journal. Reread it a fourth time. Searched for contradictions, errors, details, and found one. Entry from November 10th. Helen told me about her fear. She was afraid Stephen would discover her affair with a colleague from the studio. Anna froze. An affair? Nobody had mentioned this. Not the husband, not the friends. She picked up her phone and called one of the artists. Sorry for the late call. Was Helen having an affair? What? No. Where's that coming from? What about a colleague from the studio? Someone special? No. We were all like family. No affairs. Anna hung up. Arthur had invented it. He'd added drama where there was none. This was proof. Small, but real. She grabbed her jacket and ran downstairs to her car. She needed to talk to Anna. Again. Now. Before the woman could shut down completely. The publishing house was closed. Anna found Anna's home address through the database. An apartment downtown, an old building with a keypad lock. She waited until someone exited and slipped inside, climbed to the 5th floor, found the right door, rang the bell. Anna opened after a minute. No makeup, wearing a bathrobe, hair down. When she saw Anna, her face contorted. How did you get my address? I'm a detective. Anna stepped forward. I need to talk. Now? It's almost 11. Yes, now, because tomorrow might be too late. Anna tried to slam the door, but Anna managed to push her way inside. The apartment was decorated with the same impeccable taste as the office. Light walls, minimalist furniture, not a single unnecessary detail. Anna spun around, her face flushed with anger. You're breaking into my home! I came for the truth. Anna pulled out her notebook. Arthur Walsh fabricated evidence. I'll prove it. But I need your help. You worked with him. You fired him. You're the only one who can give me the full picture. Anna walked into the living room and collapsed onto the couch. She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders trembled. I can't. Anna sat beside her. You can. If not for me, then for Stephen. An innocent man is sitting in a cell. Anna raised her head. Her eyes were moist. You don't understand. Arthur is dangerous. Not physically, but he destroys. He takes your life and turns it into a story, and you can't stop him because he genuinely believes in his righteousness. Tell me, from the beginning. Anna sighed, long and trembling. We worked together 15 years ago. He was a brilliant editor, a genius. Authors adored him. But over time, something changed. He became obsessed with the idea that texts needed to be fixed, not edited, but rewritten. He said, reality is imperfect. My job is to make it dramatic. Anna wrote it down. What happened next? Scandals. Authors complained. One writer sued, claiming Arthur had distorted the meaning of his book. The publishing house lost the case. I had to fire him. He didn't accept it. He told me, you'll regret this. I'll prove I was right. I'll create the perfect story, and the whole world will recognize it. Did he threaten you? Anna shook her head. No, but his words were more frightening than threats. He was certain he could rewrite reality. And you know what? He did. Helen's murder, that's his story. He created it. Anna looked up. Do you think he killed her? I don't know. Anna wiped away tears. But he definitely used her death for his script. He watched Helen and Stephen, recorded their fights, added details that weren't there, created the perfect drama, and then presented it as truth. Anna closed her notebook. Why did you stay silent? Because I was afraid. I'm still afraid. If Arthur finds out I talked to you, she fell silent. I don't want to become his next character. Anna stood. Will you give an official statement? Anna looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Yes, but not now. Give me time. A couple of days. I need to prepare. We don't have time. Trial is in 2 weeks. I understand. But if I testify now without preparation, Arthur will tear me apart. He knows how to manipulate words. I need a lawyer. I need protection. Anna hesitated, then nodded. Fine. 3 days. No more. She left the apartment and descended to the street. Outside it was cold, snow beginning to fall. Anna got in her car and started the engine. She had a witness. Shaky, but real. Anna would confirm Arthur was capable of fabrication. That would weaken his testimony, but 3 days was an eternity. The next morning, Reynolds summoned Anna. She climbed to his office, already prepared for another confrontation. But what she saw made her freeze. Sitting at Reynolds' desk was Arthur Walsh. He wore the same gray cardigan, glasses gleaming in the lamplight. When Anna entered, he slowly turned his head and looked at her, his gaze cold, appraising. Reynolds gestured to a chair. Sit down, Morgan. She sat, not taking her eyes off Arthur. What's going on? Reynolds folded his hands on the desk. Mr. Walsh has filed a complaint. He claims you're harassing him, showing up at his home without a subpoena, asking provocative questions, accusing him of perjury. Is this true? Anna held the pause. I was doing my job. The case is closed. Reynolds raised his voice. You had no right to continue investigating without my permission. Arthur cleared his throat, quietly, delicately. Captain Reynolds, I don't want to escalate this situation. Lieutenant Morgan undoubtedly acted with the best intentions, but her behavior concerns me. I'm an elderly man. These visits, these accusations, they're affecting my health. Anna turns to him. You're lying. Your journal is a fabrication, and I'll prove it. Arthur removed his glasses and wiped them with his handkerchief, slowly, deliberately. Will you? Interesting. With what? Subjective impressions? Speculation? He put his glasses back on. Lieutenant, your intuition is admirable, but justice is built on facts, not guesses. Reynolds stood. Morgan, you're suspended for 3 days, without pay. Use this time to understand. Your obsession with this case is destroying your career. Anna stood. Her hands trembled with rage. Captain, you're dismissed. Reynolds' voice was final. She left the office, feeling Arthur's gaze follow her. In the hallway, she stopped, leaning against the wall. 3 days suspension. Anna asked for 3 days to prepare. Coincidence? No. Arthur was making his move. He was seizing the initiative, neutralizing her. Anna pulled out her phone and dialed Anna's number. Ringing. Long, endless. Voicemail. Ms. Rivera, "This is Morgan. Call me urgently." She hung up and exited the investigation building. The snow was falling harder, covering the streets with a white blanket. Anna got in her car and drove to Anna's building. Keypad lock. She remembered the code, had glimpsed it 2 days ago. Climbed to the 5th floor, rang the bell. No one answered. Knocked. Silence. Anna pulled a lockpick from her bag, illegal but necessary, and worked the lock. Entered the apartment. Empty. Bright. Perfect order. Too perfect. No personal items in sight, no photographs, no documents. She walked into the bedroom. Closet open, clothes in place, but no suitcase. In the bathroom, toothbrush, cosmetics, everything in place, but no passport on the nightstand. Anna had fled. Anna sank onto the edge of the bed. Her only witness had vanished. Arthur had won. He'd suspended her, intimidated Anna, closed the case. Perfect script. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Anna answered. "Hello?" "It's me." Anna's voice, distorted by interference. "I left. I'm sorry." "Where?" "I won't say. Arthur came to me this morning. Didn't threaten. Just said, 'Anna, you understand what will happen if you testify against me.' And I understood. He'll destroy my life, turn me into a character in his story. I can't. I'm sorry." "Anna, wait!" "Morgan, you're a good person, but you lost. Arthur always wins, because he doesn't play by the rules." The call ended. Anna dropped the phone onto the bed. Lost. The word she hated most in the world. She stood and left the apartment, carefully locking the door behind her. Outside, it was already dark. The snow had turned into a blizzard. Anna got in her car and rested her head on the steering wheel. For the first time in years of work, she felt despair. Not anger, not frustration. Despair. But somewhere deep, at the very center of her consciousness, a small spark ignited. Anna had fled, but she'd left a trail. You lost. Present tense, meaning the war wasn't over yet. Anna raised her head and started the engine. She had 3 days. 3 days to find what Arthur was hiding. Find the source of his confidence. Find the truth. Anna sat on the windowsill in her apartment, knees pulled to her chest. Outside, New York prepared for night, lights switching on one after another, turning the city into a chaotic pattern of light and shadow. She didn't turn on the light. Darkness was familiar, almost comforting. The case had been transferred to court 3 days ago. Officially. Finally. The key evidence, Arthur Walsh's journal. The media had already dubbed him Hero Witness, a man whose civic duty helped solve a crime. His photograph appeared in newspapers, gray cardigan, glasses, calm, almost sad gaze. Perfect image of a modest intellectual who accidentally became the key to justice. And she, Anna Morgan, had become a joke. In the investigation building corridors, her name was spoken with a smirk. That one who tried to prove the witness was a manipulator. Her obsession with this case nearly derailed everything. Reynolds had formally suspended her, but everyone understood. There would be no return. Career over. Anna wrapped her arms around her shoulders. The emptiness inside was physical, almost tangible. She'd lost. Not to Reynolds, not to the system, to Arthur. He'd outplayed her like an experienced chess player outplays an amateur. His journal was the perfect move. Every word, every detail, all calculated to create a flawless picture of Stephen's guilt. The phone buzzed on the table. Anna looked up, but didn't move. The calls hadn't stopped since the suspension. Journalists, lawyers, even a few old colleagues trying to express sympathy. She didn't answer. The buzzing repeated. Anna sighed and picked up. Unknown number. Morgan. Ms. Morgan? A young voice, agitated. This is Kyle Morrison. Anna frowned. Morrison? Quiet, unnoticeable operative from their division. She barely remembered him. He always kept to the shadows, avoided conversations, did his work silently and efficiently. Morrison, what can I do for you? I need to meet with you. Today. Now. A pause. I found something. About the Carter case. Anna froze. The case is closed. I know. But he fell silent as if choosing words. I couldn't let it go. Your theory. It wouldn't leave me alone. Anna closed her eyes. Hope. Dangerous, destructive feeling. She couldn't allow herself to feel it. Not after what she'd been through. Where are you? Outside your building. Downstairs. 10 minutes later, they sat in her car. Morrison looked exhausted. Bags under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, nervous finger twitching. He held a folder of documents. I'm risking my career, he began without looking up, but I couldn't stay silent. After your suspension, I kept thinking about your theory, that Arthur Walsh wasn't just a witness, but a director. And I decided to check something on my own. Anna watched him silently. I made a request to the building management, the building where Walsh lives. They recently cleared a blockage in the garbage chute. He opened the folder and pulled out a photograph. The maintenance crew found this. Anna took the image. A work glove, suede, heavy for woodworking. On the inside, near the fingertips, dark stains. Blood, Morrison said quietly. I gave the glove to an expert I know, unofficially. Preliminary analysis showed it's Helen Carter's blood. Anna looked up. And the glove? Belongs to Stephen. He used these in his restoration workshop. Skin particles inside confirmed it. It's his glove. The air in the car thickened. Anna reread the inscription on the back of the photo. Date, time, location of discovery. Garbage chute. Arthur Walsh's building. Has official forensics confirmed? Her voice was mechanical. Morrison nodded. Genetic material is identical. Helen's DNA on the outside of the glove, Stephen's DNA on the inside. It's ironclad proof. Stephen was at the crime scene. He held her. He killed her. Anna lowered the photograph to her lap. Evidence. That very physical, irrefutable evidence that had been missing from the start. And it appeared. By accident. A blockage in the garbage chute, maintenance called to fix the problem. Absurd coincidence. Does Reynolds know? She asked. Yes. He reinstated you. Internal investigation terminated. Morrison finally looked up. He said your aggressive methods made Walsh remember important details. Anna smirked, bitterly, without joy. So I won? Morrison stayed silent. The answer was obvious. The next morning, Anna returned to the station. The corridors greeted her with the familiar smell of cheap coffee and institutional paint. Colleagues raised their heads, threw quick glances, looked away. Nobody came to say hello. Nobody apologized for the mockery. She was reinstated, but not rehabilitated. Reynolds summoned her after half an hour. His office looked impeccable. Polished desk, heavy leather chair, Newton's cradle at the edge of the desk. Reynolds sat at the desk, shuffling papers. When Anna entered, He looked up and nodded at a chair. "Sit down, Morgan." She sat. On the desk before Reynolds lay two things, Arthur's journal and a sealed bag with the glove. Symbols of the case. Symbols of victory. "Congratulations," Reynolds said, leaning back in his chair. "Case closed definitively. Prosecutor's office is satisfied. Media is satisfied. Stephen Carter will get what he deserves." Anna stayed silent. Reynolds poured brandy into 2 glasses and pushed one toward her. "You did good work. Yes, there were excesses, but in the end, there's a result. That's what matters." Anna took the glass, but didn't raise it to her lips. "Captain, may I ask a question?" Reynolds nodded. "The glove, why did Stephen throw it in the garbage chute? He's not that stupid." Reynolds shrugged. "Panic. Fear. People under stress make mistakes. It's textbook. He threw evidence in his own building, in the same building where the murder occurred, knowing police were searching every corner." "Morgan, what are you getting at?" Anna set the glass on the desk. "Nothing. Just curious." Reynolds squinted. "You can't stop, can you, even when the case is won?" He sighed. "Look, I understand. You're used to digging deeper. But sometimes the truth is simple. Stephen killed his wife. Arthur Walsh witnessed it. The glove confirmed it. Period." Anna stood. "May I go?" Reynolds waved his hand. She left the office and stopped in the corridor, heart beating fast, thoughts racing. The glove. Accidental discovery. Too accidental. Too perfect. Anna pulled out her phone and called Morrison. "Kyle, I need information. When exactly did maintenance clear the blockage?" 3 days ago, right after your visit to Walsh." "And residents complained about the blockage earlier?" A pause. "Don't know, but I can check." "Check. And one more thing. Find out who exactly called maintenance." "Arthur Walsh?" The silence stretched. "Why do you need this?" "Just check." Anna left the building and got in her car. She needed to see Arthur, not as a detective, not as an accuser, as a reader who came to discuss the ending of his novel with the author. Arthur's building greeted her with the familiar smell of dampness and old brick. Anna climbed the stairs and knocked on the door. No one answered. She knocked again, louder. The door opened. Arthur stood in the doorway in his unchanging gray cardigan. Glasses gleamed in the dim light of the landing bulb. When he saw Anna, his lips curved into a pale grimace resembling a smile. "Lieutenant Morgan, I assumed you wouldn't be visiting me anymore." Anna stepped forward. "I need to talk." Arthur stepped aside, letting her in. The apartment was as Anna remembered. Half darkness, walls lined with books, green lamp on the writing desk. The air smelled of paper and tea. She walked to the bookshelf and ran her finger along the spines. Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, The Idiot. Classics, drama, tragedy. "Brilliant ending, Mr. Walsh," she said quietly, without turning. "Unexpected evidence in the final act when tension reached its peak. This is undoubtedly your strongest edit." Silence. Then a short, dry chuckle. "You didn't come to interrogate. You came to evaluate." Anna turned to him. "I came to understand." Arthur removed his glasses and wiped them with his handkerchief, slowly, deliberately. "Understand what?" He put his glasses back on. "My role in this story? I'm a witness, nothing more." A witness whose journal is a literary masterpiece. A witness whose apartment is across from the crime scene. A witness in whose garbage chute the only physical evidence against the accused was found. Arthur walked to his armchair and lowered himself into it. Coincidence. The world is full of strange coincidences. Anna approached. No, not coincidence. You were afraid the journal wasn't enough, that I'd keep digging and destroy your plot. You needed a guarantee, ironclad proof. Arthur watched her with a long, appraising gaze. Then his lips trembled. Not a smile. Acknowledgement. You're the only one who understands, he said quietly. The only one who sees the beauty of the design. Anna perched on the edge of the desk. Tell me, from beginning to end. Arthur leaned back in the chair, closed his eyes. Stephen killed Helen, that's a fact. I heard their argument, saw him leave the apartment, return an hour later, drunk and enraged. Saw police take away the body the next day. I didn't lie, I just systematized. Turned chaos into drama. The journal, Anna prompted. Yes, the journal. He opened his eyes. I wrote it for months, watched them, recorded details, built the narrative. But when you started doubting, I realized the journal is too subtle. It wouldn't withstand crude criticism in court. I needed something material. The glove. Arthur nodded. A week before the murder, I was in Stephen's workshop, asked to see his work. He got excited explaining the restoration process and dropped a glove. I picked it up, hid it. Didn't know why. Collector's instinct. Anna listened without interrupting. When you came searching, I panicked. You were too close to the truth, too smart. I understood. If you didn't find a draft, you'd leave, but you wouldn't give up. You'd dig further. And then I remembered the glove. You broke into the sealed apartment, at night, through the fire escape. Blood remained on the carpet. Forensics had already taken samples, but stains remained. I soiled the glove, carefully, to look natural, then threw it in the garbage chute, and called maintenance the next day, citing a blockage. Anna exhaled slowly. You created evidence. I completed the plot. Arthur straightened. Stephen is guilty. I didn't lie. I just supplemented reality. Turned it into perfect narrative where justice triumphs not through blind chance, but through irrefutable facts. Anna stood. You're not a witness. You're a director. Arthur smiled. Real, genuine smile. Finally, someone understands. The next day, Anna sat again in Reynolds' office. Desk, chair, Newton's cradle. Two things before her, the journal and the glove. Reynolds poured brandy, satisfied and relaxed. So, Morgan, he said, handing her a glass, who really solved this case? Your famous intuition or that witness of yours, Mr. Walsh? Anna took the glass, looked at the journal, at the glove. One text, the other material supplement. Perfect ending written by a master's hand. She raised her eyes to Reynolds. Her lips touched with a crooked smirk. The editor-in-chief, she said quietly. Fortunately for us, he submitted the material for publication slightly ahead of deadline. Reynolds frowned. What? Anna took a sip. The brandy burned her throat. Nothing, Captain. Just a joke. She stood and left the office. In the corridor, she stopped, leaning against the wall. Stephen was guilty. Arthur had fabricated evidence. Both facts were true. Both coexisted in one story. Justice had triumphed. But at what cost? Anna ran her finger along the scar above her eyebrow. Small, white, almost invisible. A reminder that even a second's loss of concentration can lead to a fall. She left the building. Snow began falling again, covering New York with a white blanket. Anna got in her car and started the engine. Case closed. Killer convicted. Witness recognized as hero. The system worked flawlessly. But somewhere deep, at the very center of her consciousness, a small spark burned. A question without answer. Truth without proof. Arthur Walsh had won, and Anna Morgan knew it.